No matter how many times I do this, I always discover that Christ the Lord is risen today is my favorite hymn that I can't sing because I can't breathe. It's just so moving. It's absolutely amazing. I don't have the words to describe that. Many of you I know feel the same way. Also, some of you this morning have been so observant to ask me if I've had LASIK surgery or something, and truth be told, at dinner last night, my son's birthday dinner, my glasses broke, and so I brought these readers. I hope they'll do the trick. This is like an Easter resurrection thing. I once was blind, but now I see. There's big news in the religion world lately, two items. One, Richard Dawkins, kind of the world's most famous atheist maybe, and one of my favorite authors. He's a great scientist. He speaks so eloquently and elegantly about things in the natural world. I just love him. He's been on a lifelong attack against Christianity. I still love him. He recently announced that he's become a Christian, although he clarifies he's just a cultural Christian. That means he likes our music, he appreciates our buildings, and he likes some of the activities of the church, which is good. I'm glad. I get the cynicism, by the way, about church. I was reading this past week, Paul McCartney, one of the Beatles, his mother took ill. He was 9 years old. His mother took ill and died in a week. And he's a 9-year-old sensitive boy. He said this, I prayed. He wasn't a praying person, but he prayed and he prayed for her to come back. He promised God, I'll be very good, I'll behave if you just give me my mother Mary back. McCartney said, this just shows how stupid religion is. Prayer didn't work when I really needed it to. I get that. Churches, by the way, can be the worst enemy, right, of faith and belief. I mean, churches just do all this dumb stuff and curtsy to political people and all. It's just such nonsense, or we're just vapid and boring. John Lennon, another Beatle, in 1966 famously said, we're now more popular than Jesus. And this created an uproar in the religious community. The Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Jesus' popularity has been declining ever since the 60s, although here's news story number 2. A Pew Religious Landscape study, a Barna State of the Church study indicates that the long decline in belief and support for Jesus and the church has steadied and is on the rise again. I'm like, I knew I'd live long enough to see this happen. So exciting. The uninterested in religion are getting interested again. The unchurched are coming to church. I don't know how to explain this except to say that I believe that God's always flirting with us. God's always whispering to us in moments and things of beauty. God's always digging, burrowing into that hollow place in you that you just nags at you and there's no satisfaction. There's got to be something more. That's God reaching out for you. And it's not just saying there is a God. Let's say Dawkins said, I don't just like the music and the buildings and the activities. I believe there is a God. Like, that's not all there is to it. It's not just that there is a God, like you need God to do something. And it's not even just that there is an afterlife. I don't when I first started preaching on Easter, I thought, this is the easiest sermon ever. Jesus is risen, you get to go to heaven one day. And that's no small thing, by the way. I've received 2 texts this morning already from people that I have loved and known for a great many years who died this morning. You can say, what a way to go out, like on Easter morning. It's a loss. It's sad. There's not one of you here who, if I ask you this, is there not someone or several someones in your mind and your heart that you loved? You wish they were here. You wish they were with you. The idea that they have gone to be with God is of great comfort and of great hope. It's no small thing. I've been thinking all weekend, we had our Good Friday service and left in the dark. And I've been thinking, what was it like for Jesus' mother and his closest friends on that first Friday night? Jesus had died cruelly and had been buried. Were they able to sleep all day Saturday? I mean, was the sun ashamed to rise that morning? Imagine the disciples walking around concussed numb, sad. What was that Saturday night like for them? We all live in this in-between time, don't we? I know a widow. She firmly believes in the afterlife, that she'll be with her husband again, but he's been gone, and she's had Good Friday, but it's not Easter yet, and she's waiting. She doesn't know how long it will be until her time is up, and she live in between. I talked recently with somebody who's going through a divorce. Her married life is now behind her, came to an abrupt end. Is there some good future, some restoration of family life for her? Anybody who's coping with living death, anybody coping with disappointment, that probably would actually be all of us. Will the good ever dawn again? I decided this morning to focus on this piece that it's in and out of the Apostles' Creed, and it's out kind of in modern times. Some of you ask me about it periodically. Some of the creeds say that he descended into hell. He descended into hell. A slender Bible backup for this, but it says more about God's nature. He descended into, what was God doing? What was Jesus doing between his burial on Good Friday and his rising from the dead on Easter morning? And theologians have thought he went into hell to find any who did not know him, any who people never heard of him. This is always an interesting question. Like, what happens to the people? I used to think about this in college. We'd wait a night in the dorm. We say, what about the people in Mongolia? Why did we pick Mongolia, who've never heard of Jesus? Well, that's a good question. I have a better question. What about the people who never believed in Jesus because they only heard about Jesus from boring people, or they only heard about Jesus from mean people? I've told some of you before about a woman. Some friends sent her, they said, you need to meet with Dr. Howell. She came in my office, and she started by saying, before we begin, I just want you to know I will never believe in Jesus. I said, okay, great. Tell me what that's about. She said, my dad, he was a great Christian Bible study teacher, choir member, leader of his church. He was a great, great Christian, loved Jesus, believed in Jesus, but he sexually abused me during my adolescent years. So she said, I will never believe in Jesus. The idea of Jesus descending into hell is that there's no place too dark. There's no land too distant for God. Jesus told all these stories, right? A man had 100 sheep. He lost one. It's pretty good. You still got 99 sheep. He will not rest until he gets that one sheep. Jesus, on the cross, looks down at the soldiers who have just driven nails into his pure, beautiful, good body, and they are ridiculing him, and they are gambling for his clothing, and he forgives them. Jesus, there's no limit to his love. Even death, there's no death. Love is stronger than death. God is never done. I love all those icons from the Middle Ages. When Jesus rises from the dead, it's not a solo event. Oh, I'm out now. It always shows him, he's dragging people with him. He's dragging those who've been dead into eternal life, but he's also dragging those who are lost, who did not know, who were confused, who rejected. All people. God's will. God will not rest until we are all saved. And I love the novelist Robertson Davies. In one of his novels, he speaks of hell having, I love this phrase, visible branch establishments. And he adds, I have visited quite a few of them. What are hell's visible branch establishments? I mean, go to Gaza, go to Ukraine, go to the Florida State campus. This morning I had a young woman here who's a student at Florida State. When I mentioned that, she had to leave the room. She cried on my shoulder when the service was over. Go to an intensive care ward where somebody's on life support. Go to the bedroom of the woman who recently told me her husband said, I'm leaving. I never loved you. Think about people in the mountains. There are wildfires coming ever close to their house not long after there were floods coming. The list is on and on. Hell's visible branch establishments. And we with good cause reach out and say, God, if you're a God, do something. Like Paul McCartney, bring my mother back. We plead for God to do something. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, one of his great prayers while he was in a Nazi prison camp was, "We can no longer bear our difficulties. Take them away. Bear them yourself. You alone can handle the suffering." It's not that God shields us from suffering. God creates the world and gives us a lot of leeway down here, and so therefore stuff happens and it's painful. Jesus knew it. He came down, he was thirsty, he was hungry, his closest friends rejected him, he died a cruel death on the cross. Yet there was a power that could not keep Jesus in that grave. God raised him up. There's a power in creation. It's absolutely amazing. You go to visit the mountains and they're so picturesque, but those mountains used to be lava under the earth millions and millions of years ago, and it came up. Or you visit a place like Montana and they say, "This used to be an ocean," like in Montana. It's incredible. God's long labor over creation, bringing this. What power does God have? God's power. God brought you. You once were in your mother's womb. You were just next to nothing in your mother's womb. And you didn't think, "I think this is a good day, I will be born. I want to come out into the world and have a life." You didn't do that. You weren't thinking anything at all. God's power brought you into the world. It's amazing. People, God's power. There's a guy who comes to church here. He comes about every 3 or 4 weeks, which is better than some of you. On this day, every Sunday when he checks in, he tells me exactly how long he has now been sober, which he thought was an impossibility. I talked to a guy who goes to this church. He said, "For years I had a judgmental spirit. I just loved to pass judgment on everyone. It was just so delicious." He said, "God, I thought that was impossible. God has cured me of that." It just eats you alive when you do this. Another thing about this, political ideology, like it had to be easier for God to create the world and easier for God to raise Jesus from the dead than it would be for God to cure you of your attachment to your political ideology. I warn you about this all the time. You think when you go to heaven, God will say, "You half over here, you were so right, and you other half, y'all were so dumb, you probably shouldn't even be here." We think this will be the case, but no, actually, in that moment, God will reveal the truth, and we'll all just shake our heads and say, "How could I have been so mistaken?" And more importantly, how could I have been filled with so much venom and exasperation in my heart? God's power. We had a child in our church come home this week. This is a child that was born 263 days ago and has been hospitalized ever since. Beautiful. Then on Friday night, I saw a woman here in church, and the power of God, she got out of her bed and came to church. If you don't know what that's like, you don't get it, but maybe you do. Sometimes it's just a miracle that you're able just to get out of the bed. So the question then is, how do we live? How do we live? Do we come on Easter Sunday and say, "Oh, Jesus is risen, that was really great, the orchestra, the choir, oh, that was all amazing, so beautiful, see you next year"? We could do that. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, this is so interesting, the greatest barrier between us and a close life with Jesus is cowardice. Isn't that interesting? We're just kind of chickens. We're kind of fearful. We hold back. We're always careful. Cowardice keeps us from Jesus. Jesus calls us to be people of courage, to come together as a church and to be people of courage, to do the impossible, to go wherever there is a hell. We descend with Jesus into hell's visible branch establishments. I preached a sermon a couple of weeks ago on empathy, and some of you were kind enough to say, "Good sermon, Pastor." And a few people pushed back. One woman in particular, she said, I was talking about empathy, she said, "That was a Democratic sermon. Why don't you have empathy on Republicans?" Not my friend. It's not partisan. It's not political. Jesus asked us to have empathy and to do something for anybody who's being wounded by the way things are, anybody who's been left by the side of the road, anybody who is hurting. That's just what it means to be a Christian. Our church is about to turn 100 years old, and it would be so easy to say, "Oh, look at our beautiful building. Oh, the accomplishments over 100 years. Oh, all of this." When you look at our history, one of the things that happened, this is amazing. 50 years ago here in Charlotte, North Carolina, there was no crisis assistance ministry. There was no loaves and fishes. There was no men's shelter. Isn't that amazing? Like people that were suffering, where were they? Just like out on the street, nobody to help them. And our church, formed with other Myers Park churches, we started these great organizations. They're doing amazing work, and you know this. And I met this week with the leaders of those organizations, and they're terrified because they're about to face major funding slashes. You may think funding slashes are a good idea. I don't know. But the church's job is to have empathy and to do something for those who are hurt by the way things are. We've got to step up. We've got to be the body of Christ. We have to go wherever hell is to descend there. We named our capital campaign when we built our building, Hope is Here. We named the building the Center of Hope. Who else is going to do this? We are the hope of the world. I want to invite you, like you're here at Easter. I'm so glad you've come here at Easter. One guy came in this morning at 8:30 and he was like, "Are you proud I'm here?" Yes, actually, I am proud that you're here. But I want to invite all of you to join our little band. We're just a little band. We're just a little church. We just make a little dent in the big things that are going on in the world. But join our little band because we're the ones who dare to stand up and say, there is a God. We're the ones who dare to stand up and say, empathy is a thing. We're the ones who dare to stand up and say, I love Bonhoeffer's phrase, what does the church do? The church doesn't cure all evils out there. He says what the church does is the church creates a space for the risen Christ to show up in the world. Like, that's what we do. We create a space, just an opening, like that open tomb for Jesus to walk once more into the visible branch establishments of hell. Who else dares to do this? Friends, hope is here. There is a God. God invites us to come together, to be His people, to make a difference, to have some courage, to do something, to be generous, to make this what matters to us and therefore what matters to the world. Such a privilege. Thanks be to God.